What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kind of Funny Gamescast. I am one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the best hair in the business, FM3_ on Twitch.tv, Fran Mirabelle III.
What's up? Welcome back from Judges Week.
Thank you. Joining me back from Judges Week is none other than the busiest lady in the business, Andrea Renee, representing What's Good Games. A new episode each and every Friday on YouTube and podcast services around the globe.
What's up, gents?
Nothing, we're back.
Yeah. I know.
Greg thinks it's Monday.
What day of the week does it feel like for you?
Yeah, Monday's a good one because we were gone for so many days in a row, but there's been so much work over the last 24 hours because publishing the show and everything.
Catching up.
And like the E3 blitz has begun.
Yeah,
and
inboxes are just nuked right now.
I just
can't find anything.
I just want to tell everyone I'm busy.
Honestly, we're to the point now where it's fair. That's a fair response.
You are busy, by the way.
Hey, we have 14 games coming to E3. Can we book your time? Like, no.
No.
I know I'm not even going to go out into diming out big publishers, but one of the big ones just yesterday was finally like, all right, we're ready to book. Can we get 3 hours of your time? Like, fuck you. That's what you can get. You can fuck you.
They're definitely watching the show and know exactly like.
Oh, they know who they are, right? Let's call them Rubysoft. They know who they are and what they're doing. Meanwhile, Renendo hasn't even fucking answered an email of what they're doing. What the fuck do you guys want me to do? You know what I mean? Keep emailing PlayStation for demo times. They won't answer either.
To be fair, right? This is every E3 every year.
Of course.
You always hear, when are we going to plan it? You know, the team's asking, when's going to have the first meeting? And you're like, just wait, because nobody knows what's going on until about 3 weeks before E3. That's just the way that it goes every year.
Yeah.
But if you didn't understand any of that, Andrea and I were at E3 Judges Week all week long. So it's my first day in the office, your first day in the office.
Secret.
So it's totally screwed everything up. Yeah. We have a lot of secrets. This whole book here, my little black book, jacked full of impossible information that I can't share because it's all embargoed, except for many games today that we're going to talk about that aren't embargoed. So that's it. Because, of course, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every week, 3, sometimes 4 best friends gather on this table, each coming to talk about the video games they love and what's going on in the industry and what they've been playing and what Kevin's eating. What are you eating, Big KD?
It's a salad.
All right, good. You're sticking with it. Exactly. If you like that, you can watch the show live as we record it or early without any ads, plus a pre and post show over on patreon.com/kindafunny. If you have Kind of Funny Games, damn. Trying to ad-lib the intros as I go. You know what I mean?
I actually like it.
By the way, Tim, a house fell on him. Not here. Sorry. Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can get it early, ad-free, all that jazz. If you have no bucks to toss our way, no big deal, of course. You can go to youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. On Monday, we put it up as a big video on MP3. What are you cracking up at, Nick?
I actually had a deeper layered joke than I thought at first. The house fell on him. Is that make him the Wicked Witch?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
We got him good, Andrea. High
little
five.
striped socks sticking out.
Housekeeping for you, of course. The Kind of Funny Games E3 showcase is Monday, June 10th at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. You can watch it live on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. We are doing a YouTube premiere. So that's your one place to go get it. Enjoy it. One of the many E3 conferences that we'll be talking about. Obviously, we'll be reacting live to the rest of them. Not PC, obviously. Come on now.
One of these days.
You want to? That's going to be your initiative. You're going to push for us to pay attention to the PC one.
I'm not saying the PC conferences ever work out that well, but you should pay more attention to PC at E3. That's all.
The PC gamer show though is not something that I think has ever lit the world on fire. I think the biggest news that came out of that show last year was the Age of Empires remake. Right? I think that was it.
For the record, it usually just falls into that Devolver category, even Upload VR category, and the showcase category. If we weren't doing the showcase ourselves, right? Of like, oh cool, they're announcing games. I don't know if it's worth us reacting and trying to keep up new stuff. I watch it, I keep up with it of what they do, but it's like, does it have the hype behind it? No.
I think we've all dreamt of having a PC show to rally around, but honestly, they're very hard to do because PC is still not like Xbox or PlayStation, and you try to turn it into that.
You guys have no souls?
No, I'm saying that it's not like it's a single publisher or distributor with a bunch of games.
Now it's not even one storefront, and I hear that's a huge problem.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's what we need is the Epic Store.
Oh, that would go over well.
That would go real well.
Anything Epic would do.
And then there's a Steam conference.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's how it would go. That's how it all have to happen.
I'm excited about this year's E3. Overall, though, because you can't say. How excited should we be for E3 based on what you know?
Oh, based on what we know? I mean, what the games we played or stuff? You should be excited. We talk about this on Kind of Funny Games daily today. Why? Yeah, and there's no PlayStation. Okay, whatever. Still, it's E3. Are you kidding me?
This was the best showing across the board for a Judges Week that I've had almost definitively.
Really?
There was something at every appointment that I went to that I was interested in and really enjoyed my time with, and that almost never happens. So I was very impressed by everything that we saw, and I'm really excited to play more and to see more and to see how the community reacts to some of the stuff we got to see today.
Yep. Yeah, Ubisoft
this week, I
that
should
news
say.
was just coming out how they have a total of 4 AAA games before March 2020 in the fiscal year. And you do forget in the late gen that things are so well tuned that there's always some of these end of the generation surprises. We don't know when the next consoles are coming out, but probably end of 2020 or early 2021. So I'm excited to see what's out there. But yeah, when you look ahead, you're like, we've been doing anticipated games. You're like, I don't know. Like Nintendo's got some stuff, but you're like, what else is
Nintendo's
something?
got Pokemon Sword and Shield. That's all we're going to be talking about.
Animal Crossing.
But E3, hopefully we'll answer some questions.
We talked about that last week. We're going to talk about Judges Week in a second. Right now, I need to thank Patreon producers James Hastings and Mohammed. We couldn't do this without you, right, Nick?
Heck yeah.
That's my man. Today we're brought to you by Robinhood, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the Kinda Funny Gamescast with what is and forever will be what you playing. Fran? What have you been playing? A lot of games on the list today. Fran, you're the one who didn't go to Judges Week. You
Correct.
said I'm too good for that. I won't leave my
that was
streaming.
what it was.
I won't leave my streaming community behind. I need
Actually,
to
I'd
be
said
there
that,
for
yes.
them. I need to remind people that I
Verbatim.
have an Epic Game Store code. Like I need to be on. What did you? So you played Rage 2 while we were gone?
Yeah, Rage 2 was the thing that I finally got to jump into. We had actually, were we at the preview event way back when
We
together?
were, with Tim Willits.
Yeah, it was quite some time ago, and what a journey it's been, but it's been quiet, and then boom, it hit. I'm playing on PC.
Okay.
First of all, runs amazing on PC.
Yeah.
No matter
Obviously, it's id.
I was going to say that is.
But you know, some games, depending on how they are, they chop or they take more resources.
Well, and that's fair because it's actually Avalanche's engine for
good
Rage
point.
2. It's not id's.
Oh, that's right.
It's not
It is
id tech.
on their engine, but of course working with id, and you know, once they
Right.
get a hold of anything. But it runs incredibly well for starters. But long story short, I went into it with pretty much lowered expectations, regardless of what the reviews were.
Why were the expectations lower?
Just because the narrative, and it's been fair, is like it's been just kind of quiet. Like
Totally,
we heard a little
right?
bit about Rage, and then kind of quiet. And sometimes when that happens, sometimes it's by intent, is that they don't want to like do preview stuff because they don't want any mixed reviews. So
100%.
That's not really why, but I just haven't had a reason to be excited.
Here's my optics on it were this, that obviously I remember when you guys went to see it at the preview event. Rage 1 wasn't my cup of tea, so I just didn't pay attention. I'm not the shooter guy.
Yeah.
I saw you guys
You
go
will
to the
be
preview
tonight.
event. You come, well, come on. Division's not a shooter, buddy. That's a way of life. All right? You know what I'm saying? Wolfpack. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you very much, Kev. No, that, and then it was, on Games Daily that week where it was like, or the week before where somebody's like, Rage is out next week. Nobody's talking about it. I was like, that can't be right. I look at the date. I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck, Rage 2 is out next week.
Everybody felt that way.
I've literally had, and Andrea and I don't know if Andrea's better at her job than me. I've had my head down all week at Judges Week. How did the reviews net out? Did people just not like it? Or?
It's like 70, I think, right now.
Metacritic.
Yeah, Metacritic.
It's funny, I turn my nose up at it, not because I don't appreciate Metacritic. It's that there's so many reviews in there. You get this, like, I'm going to come off
No,
name.
we can
Dishwater
absolutely
effect.
turn our nose up at Metacritic. I've had my
But I
beef with
appreciate
them for a long time.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort, but there's so many reviews. So, in other words, I like to talk about reviews you trust or
Sure.
Or
What's
know.
my
Long story short,
IGN and GameSpot?
there is,
Where are they?
surprisingly, this is the biggest thing that stood out to me. Dan Stapleton, if you know him,
Sure,
is
robot.
like the most cynical review robot that you know. He does love PC. It's his one.
There it is. This is how you got him.
Probably, but he gave it an 8, I think, and
Okay.
I was like surprised.
Dan's he's a hard sell. He's a hard sell
One of
on
the
reviews.
highest reviews out there
Okay.
of the short list that I saw. But it's getting between 6 to 8s, and interestingly, it's a narrative a little like Days Gone, but without all the bugs and stuff. Where it's this. Some people are like, I don't know, I got kind of bored after a while, like some of the mechanics. But there's another side of which you're like, I really like it. And the thing to really like about it is just the core gunplay and combo mechanics. You earn like a lot of stuff, and it just feels really good to get into battle. Driving and stuff, I still don't like that much.
Okay.
But my quick review is I'm only, maybe 5 hours in. I'm playing on hard mode just because I like when it's skill. Well, but not because I'm really good at this stuff, but in skill-based games, I like to be sort of informed when I hit that wall and be like, you need to upgrade your skills. What's it gonna be? And that's how I play. That's how I played God of War as well.
Gotcha.
So I'm liking it so far, but it's definitely.
Are you
it's
gonna stick
a
with
6
it to the
8,
end?
Absolutely. Probably, but there's no like PvP and multiplayer and no. They're doing some post-release content, but I think that's going to be for the hardcore. But
Tim
I'm liking it.
Gave us the indication that multiplayer was not part of their plans at all. I'm also really looking forward to diving in. I loved the first Rage, and it was also a very divisive game. You either loved it or you were like, this game is trash. And so I know that people who liked the first one have kind of mixed reviews about this one, particularly what they did with the narrative.
Yeah.
But if they improve the gunplay, which sounds like they did, sounds like they still have the best shotgun in video games. So we'll see
People
how it
love
is.
the Rage shotgun. But if you like shooters, it's definitely in that 6 to 8 range. I can already say that.
And Nicky Scarpino, we brought you off the KF-AF bench to come talk about this.
Yeah, I
You've
was
been
warming
playing.
that. I was warming that real hard. Yeah, I've been playing it for a while now, and I really like it. It's interesting because for me, this is one of those games that you would not think this is a Nick Scarpino jam, but I just beat New Dawn, and I'm like, I really want another game like that where it's this big open world where you just kind of grind a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is scratching that itch. I will give it a shout out. The shooting mechanic is a little bit more arcadey than you'd find in a Far Cry game, which I actually like.
Yeah.
Because
That's id shooting though, right?
yeah, it's very much.
feels very Doom.
It feels very Doom. Actually, it feels tighter than Doom. Honestly, it feels because there's a lot more intricacies to it, and the way they have their powers structured in it, I think, is really, really cool, and they're fairly unique. And it does reward exploration, but it's very weird coming from a Far Cry game where the world feels so alive, going to this where it's just empty, and there's a lot of
There's
driving
nothing in
it.
between, you mean?
There is, and you can discover stuff, but Far
Is that
Cry
by design or?
yeah, it wants you to get out there, but I played through. I'm the kind of guy that I get in and I start exploring immediately, and whatever I find, I just try to take over. It's the first thing I did, I took over a bandit's den that was I didn't realize how hard it was. Like a level 5 or 6 bandits, and I had one gun, and it took me 3 hours to beat.
Oh my God.
And it didn't occur to me to just walk away and level up and come back. And I'm like, I'm not letting
That's
this
not
go.
the Nick Scarpino
I'm not
way.
letting this go, because that's how you learn. That's how you train. And then every other. I mean, I literally have not come across a bandit's den that's that bad since. I've been playing for almost 10 hours probably.
Yeah. But you're leveled up.
Wow, yeah, you're all in there.
Yeah, so I'm loving it, and I can confirm the shotgun is freaking amazing.
What?
I've leveled that bad
Give me
boy
an
up.
example. Like in Far Cry New Dawn, there's Buffalo and.
So yeah, I mean,
what's different?
To be honest, that's a blessing and a curse for Far Cry, I feel, because it really it takes you out of the narrative when you get attacked by a bear and you have to worry about a fucking Wolverine coming at your nads, and you're like, what? It just, the world feels so alive and there's so much else going on in it that you're
Wolverine
why should I
coming at your
care about the
nads.
That's what
overarching
I
story about
meant,
what's
though.
happening?
I'm gonna get
said
the email.
Rage
Hey,
is-
can we use that as a box quote?
When you said Rage is empty, I was like, wait, but there's caravans that roll by. It does have bandits that are littered around. How is it different than Far Cry in terms of emptiness?
Because Far
there's
Cry
not as
is
much
that
space.
on steroids.
Right.
If you
Like,
stop
so
for
much to
5
do.
seconds, you get attacked by
That's the
something.
Ubisoft open world way, right?
Yeah.
It's like the perpetual distraction.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going from point A to point B, but then you stop 10 times along the way because there's a guy on the side of the road that needs help. And
Or
then
you
there's
see a
an animal you
flock
can
of
hunt.
deer and
And then
you're
there's some
like,
crafting materials you can get. And that's just Ubisoft open
Yeah.
worlds
Yeah.
overall. And Rage and Rage 2 aren't like that. I had hoped that they would improve because they teamed up with Avalanche, who specializes in making open world games, and it sounds like from what I've heard that it's better, but it's not great, and so that there still is an emphasis on getting in your vehicles and driving from point A to point B, not really getting out to explore.
It is more than I was going to say. The caravans seem to be, or when just crews of cars roll by and you can upgrade your vehicles. That seems to be the one thing that they were counting on. Have you rolled into any crazy
But the problem
fights?
is there's no. I mean, maybe I haven't come across the stories yet, but there's not a lot of incentive to do that. You can just dodge the caravans. You don't really need to.
You don't need to.
And honestly, a lot of the main story missions that I've done so far, again, I'm only maybe midway through the game, but does not revolve around you having to do anything with those caravans. So other than leveling up and getting specific,
I think you can get materials and
points.
stuff to help level yourself up.
So are you enjoying this because of it, or because of this is filling in the gap between the next other thing you're actually going to get super
No,
into?
I actually like this because it feels a little bit more pared down than a Ubisoft open world game.
So it's not overwhelming with the things to do.
Yeah,
Look at
because
the
after a
map.
certain point, you just go, what am I doing? Why am I fishing right now? I don't need to fish. There is a psychotic,
Nick's doing is really
religious cult leader out there that I'm supposed to take down, but I'm also kind of intrigued with the bass that's happening. So like I do like that it's sparse, and it does kind of buy into that post-apocalyptic sort of world. My only real criticism of the game so far is that you just don't care about the story at all.
Yeah.
The story's
too much of it
so
sometime,
generic.
right?
Bad guy. The acting doesn't really, and tonally, a lot of the acting is a little weird because
like
everything's
80s
kind of peppy,
cheese.
and you're like, this is a weird vibe to have. Yeah, it's very 80s cheese where a lot of the lines are said. Like, for instance, when you leave your car's like super happy and like, hey, see you later, have fun out there, be careful, and you're like, okay, I get what the vibe you're going for. It's a lot more fun than I would think if people are like eating each other on the side of the road.
Well, that's why they put all the neon colors in it this time around.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I do think it's worth pointing out a little bit of the detail if you're not familiar with what they did with Rage 2 and even over Rage 1. There's just like so many skill trees and power. So it's
a lot.
There's like 4 to 6 different, call them vendors or people that account for different skill trees. Some are focused on skill and combat, others are survival, and like you do get points and have to go all over the map collecting those points to do it. But just as an example, when you start, you have like a pistol and an assault rifle, and that's it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like almost nothing, and you.
But you can level,
jump,
you can literally
slide.
level up the guns and then also modify the guns.
Yeah.
So it's like and that's also kind of it's a confusion factor for me.
You can upgrade each gun and modify them with mods.
them.
Yeah, they have core mods.
They have core mods that you come in, so you have to pick. You can make the gun stronger, but then you can also modify them. And there's just a lot of those in there, and to a point where it's a little confusing at times.
Yeah.
Because I just got to the part where you have to you can upgrade yourself.
Oh, okay.
But you've already been doing that. But you go to a vendor that's like a medical doctor, and he'll upgrade the core. But you don't.
You take the parts like the gland and
yes.
But
that's it's a little confusing because I'm like, I thought I already did with the nanotrite stuff, and like
it's
what's
a
the
little. It
feltrite
is
stuff? I don't know.
confusing, like all of these games. Like I'd argue that Destiny and Division, any of these that do that, But just to finish the example, it is cool that, so when you start out, right, you just have the basics and you melee someone and you slide, and if you think that's all that's there, absolutely not.
No.
You get, ground pound slams, you get, what else do you
Dashes.
get?
You get like a shot, you can put up barriers. There's one that's a double jump, which I think
you get double jump.
every shooting game should have a double jump because it is a fucking game changer and it's great. And that's the point, if you level that up, by the way, spoilers, you can float in the air while you shoot people.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Like you can actually, if you jump up and shoot someone, it gives you another second. So if you keep shooting people, you can keep floating in the air. It's useless, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
You can kick back grenades, and then if you level that up, you can kick them back to the people that threw them. It's awesome.
And that was
Doesn't
the point I
sound
wanted.
useless to me.
Yeah, that was the point I wanted
That part's awesome.
to land on, is that I think if you're going to like Rage 2, it's not for the story and it's not for the open world and some of that. It's like, it's all
for
right.
the chaos.
When you
It's for the mechanics.
eject yourself out of your car, which is the power you can get, and then start shooting at people and combine it with these powers, and then you get a gun where you tag someone that you can point at them with the missile that tracks it. You start playing in this really just causey way, I think. That's what's going to make it special if you're going to be into it. But if you can't stand collecting all your points and driving around, it may not be for you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Story real bad.
Jump on there, Andy.
Andy,
Like
you've
I
been
just,
playing.
Fuck,
I encountered
an
an
nowadays. You get one of them, you have to get the other.
I encountered
It's like
an
a
NPC
Ruffles.
the other day that I just could not give a lesser shit about. Where during the dialogue, I just wanted it to end. The best
Stop
NPC,
talking.
easily Rahul Kohli, right? Easily Rahul
He's in
Kohli.
there?
He's in the game multiple
Is
times.
he really?
He's the vendor. He's Garcia, the doctor.
Oh,
but he's
you're
also a
kidding
guy
me.
named Wafer Thin Jim. He's just kind of like a random guy, but. I don't give a shit at all about anything that I couldn't tell you what's happening in the story. I really can't. And they really want to have playful NPCs like Borderlands does.
Yeah.
Where in Borderlands, I met so many characters that I
Memorable.
wanted to talk to them
Yeah.
and like learn more. I felt complete opposite with all of this. I'm only sticking with this game because taking over camps is really fun and the combat's great.
Right.
I feel like I've been spoiled by the movement in Apex to where like I want it to feel like that here, but the slide doesn't feel quite right.
Decent slide, though.
It's
Not quite
okay.
Apex.
It's almost there, but like it's still the combat again is like they nailed everything.
cool.
The id shooting that you've grown accustomed to is fantastic.
Slick.
Cool.
It's funny, I had something else to say about it and I forgot. Oh no, maybe one more point about the story stuff. I feel like too many games, Days Gone included, they're suffering from, it's my speculation, but now they have access to make cutscenes a lot easier in-game. They start producing like all these story moments that make you sit there and watch. I have a theory. And you guys tell me, because it's a big one and I'm going to drop
Kevin,
it.
throw up the Fran theory.
Yeah, and I'm tired of it if it's true, and you're developers and publishers that are causing this, but this is completely hypothesizing. you're given a number of how long your critical path has to be. Guess what? Once you have all of it filled out, you start thinking, how can I stretch this out? Because I'm like 10 hours behind or 3 hours behind. And you start placing cutscenes in between everything.
God.
Because I got into dialogue scenes
I skip all of them.
both in
I
this
don't buy
game.
it.
No way.
both
Do you know how expensive it is to do cutscenes?
in-game cutscenes? No, recording audio. That's like the extent of it. In-game cutscenes. I'm talking about.
You're talking about, okay, so you're not talking about a fully
He's talking
fledged
about-
mocapped.
Okay.
I'm talking about in Days Gone when you stand there and you walk with someone
Where it
up
cuts
the
bet-
path
yeah.
forever, and in the same in many other games, and it happens in this game too.
God, it's
that you get
terrible.
a brief cutscene, and then they sit at their desk and they talk to you and follow you while you talk to them for a really long time.
A long
right?
time. I skip them all, honestly. Once
Get off
after
my
the
chest.
first intro,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Point rescinded. I was with Andrea for a second.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought you were talking about like mocap.
No,
full on.
he's talking
No,
about
not performance
He's talking
by
about when you
actors.
have to get the backstory
Absolutely
of a
no
side
performance.
character that you don't give a shit about.
Like
when
and
you're
it's
standing at a
15-minute
vendor,
long
right?
monologue about how we haven't seen that ranger in years, and,
So
and I get it. It's world building, but at a certain point, that little skip button comes up. Press square to skip, and I'm fucking hammering
I'm
that
sure
thing.
every
I'm like,
video
just
game
give me
writer
the
listening
goal.
or watching the show is crying
and I
a
respect
small
it.
tear
By the way,
right
I do.
now.
But that's where I believe it's two things. One, it's temptation that now that the tools are a bit easier to make in-game cutscenes, it's tempting to put more of that stuff in and try to world build. But on the other side, I actually do worry sometimes that your critical path that you want to make it longer. Like, how often do we say, like, why didn't you just make that? Like, Days Gone, think about it.
Why didn't they
I
just
don't
make
buy
it a 30-hour game instead of a 60-hour
That's
game?
what, I mean,
Yeah.
I've said it
Without
before.
the
I've beaten the
cutscenes.
drum up for it a long time. I think that inside of Days Gone's 50 hours, there's a great 10-hour. There's an amazing 10-hour game.
Yes.
But I don't even know if it's true because I think honestly what it is in a lot of the Days Gone forced walks, forced rides where you talk to each other.
The Red Dead, if you will.
Is I think in a lot of ways people are using that nowadays because they know people skip cutscenes and they want to give you more information and they want to give you this world and like that's what
Why
they're
force
pushing
you
for.
to-
But that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like,
'Cause otherwise
there's a
you
difference
skip it.
between hey, you need to have the story beat, and hey, we're holding you hostage.
Oh, I know.
on
I'm
these
not
things.
arguing for it at all. I'm just saying I
It's-
think that's what it is.
But for me, and I know everybody's different, but I just look at the gameplay and there's no gameplay there.
Sure.
It's just
Sure.
story building and like
It's
I want to
just an
play
excuse
the
to
game.
put another
mean,
thing on your map. That
We
you
can
go
talk
get.
about the
Just
people who
put
do
thing
it
on
right and
the
do it
map.
wrong, right? Like you're talking about the Days Gone stuff, which I thought did it wrong, right? Which did hold you hostage. Here's all this stuff you
Yeah,
do
there's
for
too
no
much
reason, right?
repetition with the whole
God
thing.
of War, right, is the one cut the whole time, and like when you are walking or in the boat, like I know it's a
Yes.
tired Greg story, but like I wouldn't get out of the boat till the conversation
ends.
that was happening just
Those
for the
Mimir
bullshit,
stories are the best part.
right? Like I was like, yeah,
But you could get out of the boat.
Yep.
And the stories were actually awesome and the performance was awesome. So
Well,
that's the difference.
And like
you
the
know.
cool part about that is like you would get out of the boat and he'd be like, "Oh, I'll finish it another time."
Yeah, yeah.
And then
And
you
he
get back
would.
in the boat and he would finish the story.
Well, I mean, that shit
Pretty
still
amazing.
happens in fucking Days Gone. The amount of times where I'm having a conversation, I get attacked, and I pop
I
off,
just-
and I get back on. I'm like, all right, what were you saying? Like,
Yeah.
I just got attacked by a fucking giant freaker bear.
Yeah. I just think about, the heartbeat of the game sometimes. And it's like, I think we get a little carried away sometimes with all the. I like story. I'm definitely less so than others. But I think we really got to look at the heartbeat of these games and be careful.
Yeah.
Not to go in these long stretches or put too much in because I'm with you, man. I actually like Days Gone more than you. And I think there's an amazing 12, 15-hour game.
Totally.
In there. And why?
100%.
Yeah.
I think they had that at their
I
fingertips.
mean, even with Rage, there's the very big line that needs to be drawn between quality versus quantity.
Yeah.
If I just get to the point where I feel like you're just feeding me quantity, that's when I start feeling like I'm wasting my time. That's when I start feeling things are a chore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't want these games to be a chore. I want them to be a fun net. What's the next fun goal? Which brings me to my only other criticism, which is sorry, Andy.
Andy threw his hand up.
Andy's
Okay.
raising his hand.
Great
which was
discussion.
that the fast travel in this game needs to be way more.
Oh, really? You have more options?
And it's possible that I haven't upgraded a perk yet to it, but New Dawn did something really great where they're just like, let's call a spade a spade. If you discover an area, you can immediately fast travel there, which when you're jumping around the map as big as that is such an integral part. That's the one thing that kept me from getting bored in New Dawn was I was like, oh, well, at least I can just fast travel over that location, take a boat real quick, and I'm there. Whereas here, they want you to drive a lot, and I'm like, after the first hour of driving, like, I don't want to fucking drive anymore. I
So
just
I
want
felt
to
about
get.
horseback riding in Red Dead after
Yeah.
35 hours.
Also, it does this really, really bad thing where when you are, and it doesn't do it enough to where I feel like it may have been like a last second addition to the game where when you're introduced to a character, it like does this thing where it becomes a still shot of
talking about
them
the MoGraph thing?
with
Was it-
this motion graphic, and it's like, this is so and so. He's been my friend for forever.
53
but little do
years
we
old.
know the blah blah blah. He's got a lot coming. Like it does like this really crappy thing, and it does it like
Jeez.
3 times in the first 10 minutes, and then it didn't happen again for like 5 more hours, where you're introduced to someone else, and you kind of forget that that's a thing that they introduced. That it doesn't happen enough, but it may be that it doesn't happen enough because I spent so much time doing side missions and stuff, and then you get finally to a story beat where it's like, Professor such and such, this guy, but it's just like, it's so cringy, dude. It's
totally right.
I want to go. I'm going to YouTube those clips.
It's really, really bad. And then also the game, I'm playing on PS4 Pro.
Woo!
And so I don't know if
PC sucks. Fuck you, Fred. Fuck you.
Oh, this is a really important point.
I don't know if they are if they were really going for the goal of 60 frames per second, and thus
sure.
the visuals suffer quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because this game is not really pretty at all. Like compared to
really?
a game like Doom or Wolfenstein,
Oh, man.
this game is
Looks good on
really
PC.
unattractive, I think. Yeah,
It looks good on PC. I haven't seen it.
It
I
just
would-
feels really bland and like it doesn't look sharp. It doesn't feel like what it reminds me of is when I played. It feels like an HD remaster of like when you play BioShock Infinite from last gen, and it's like you're playing it now.
My guess,
Gotcha.
Andy, is
That's-
they did shoot for the 60 instead of the fidelity, which I
It's
appreciate.
possible, yeah.
Does it run well at 60?
Oh yeah, it runs great. Yeah, I haven't had any
pretty
hitches
awesome.
or anything like that, but I do feel.
How does it compare to Apex on PS4 Pro?
What visually?
Yeah.
I think Apex looks much better.
Much better.
Yeah, but it could be a thing that like I've played on 4K. I've played on my 4K TV. Whether it's putting out a 4K signal, I don't know. But I do think that it may be putting out at like 900p or something like that because it just doesn't look like.
super
I
simple.
thought
Even when
on
I'm playing on my
PS4 it was all checkerboard anyway.
Even when I'm on my monitor, my 1080p monitor, when I'm playing on my like desk
It's
setup,
just not sharp
It
enough,
just
huh?
doesn't look like a really new game.
I don't know. I'm playing on a plasma in 1080p. I think it looks great.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
it's
I have not noticed any visual. I thought it was pretty stunning.
Far Cry looks awesome. This game just kind of looks like muddy, like there's
Soft
a
and-
film over it. I don't know.
Some of it could be the motion blur. I actually had to turn motion blur off on PC.
Really?
Because it was and I have, normally on a powerful computer when you have motion blur, like it can be blurry, but it doesn't make everything look blurry. This just was way too blurry for me, so I turned it off.
Interesting.
Maybe that's part of it, the way it's translating.
It's not bad on console.
It's not that bad.
I've noticed the motion blur now,
It's
'cause I thought I would
really
turn it off,
blurry
but-
on PC, for me anyway. But I think as well, last note is that Rage 2 on, I think, PS4 and Xbox non-Pro, non-X, it's 30. Have you heard this?
I didn't know.
Of course it would be.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, no,
but
the
just
base
FYI.
consoles can't push a game like Rage in 60.
I mean, they could.
for
They just
sure.
gotta. There's so much work to be done, to drop.
I honestly don't think the base PS4 could do it.
Well, I mean, of course it can. It's just they have to strip so much out to get 60 frames.
Right.
It's possible.
So no. Oh,
it just would look.
There's no
crap.
textures.
Okay,
I know,
friend.
I
It would
mean,
just be it would just be
sure.
colors. That's all you
In
would
a
get.
world of black
No
and white,
textures.
yes, it's possible.
I just don't want people to think that we don't believe that PS4 can do 60 frames. It does it with mini games, but not at this detail. Anyway, that's why you play on PC, everybody.
No, it's not.
Hook it up to your
Don't.
TV, even.
Get your compact Presario, your Novoto,
Lenovo.
Lenovo's out of
Lavoto,
here. You know
Lovato,
what I
House of
mean?
Pepper Corporation. Fringe really over there.
I'm telling you, man. Once you get a DualShock or an Xbox One controller connected to a console, it doesn't get any better.
Yep. I was thinking about how Rage is actually hard to play on mouse and keyboard because it's
There it
got
is.
so many
Thank you.
abilities.
Thank you. That's all I was
You
going
might
to
wanna
say.
use
Really, I was
intro.
thinking it would be easier because the ability like that's it's
Dude,
those
there's so many buttons to press.
Well, yeah, but everything else is just done with like what is it? Left bumper and
I
a
mean,
button.
not really.
It's
See,
hard.
You got to focus and you got to press 2 buttons at once all the time. So you're constantly like on the keyboard doing that.
Oh,
and
really?
It's pretty tricky.
Yeah, it's not as easy on controllers either.
Nick, thank you so much for your time and your
Thank you,
leadership
Greg.
impressions.
Thank you, Andrea.
Bye,
Thank you,
Nick.
Go back to watching your MMA YouTube videos.
Heck yeah.
Will do.
Andrea,
Yes, Greg.
we went to lovely Santa Monica, sunny Santa Monica, to play a bunch of games for Judges Week. Of
Indeed.
course, this is pre-E3. Of course, the majority of these things all embargoed out the wazoo.
Yes.
However, there are a handful of games that are not embargoed out the wazoo that we
True.
want to talk about. Andrea, tell me about Rocket Arena.
So Rocket Arena was announced this week. It's being published by Nexon, and it's being created by a new studio called Final Strike Games. This is a bunch of ex-Halo devs up in Bellevue, Washington, that are making this 3v3 arena shooter, but
Projectiles only.
Yes, but it's non-lethal. So
Yeah.
you don't die in this game. You just get knocked out of the arena. So it's a rocket base, and so that means not only do you shoot rockets, but the idea of like leading your shots because it's a slower firing projectile is a huge part of the gameplay. And then of course you get some really cool rocket abilities as well.
And there's gameplay up or a trailer. And
Yeah,
all,
there is
I already
now.
saw
Yeah,
this
they dropped a press release this week. Had some stuff up.
Yeah, the beta, I believe, begins on May 23rd.
Yeah, 23rd through 29, you can get in on the Nexon launcher and Steam. You can get in for the beta there. Later, it's coming, of course, to PC, Xbox One. It's going to be cross-platform on PC and Xbox One at launch with PlayStation 4 currently in development, it says.
I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, but the idea here,
there
right?
it is.
Yeah, throw
Yeah,
it
it
up,
was
Kev. Thank
really,
you.
really fun.
It's really, really fast. It's really, really fun. It's easy to get into. As Andrea said, 3v3. It's all 5-minute matches. There's a bunch of different modes to get into, and everybody obviously has unique
Looks like
abilities,
a Sea
unique
of Thieves
powers.
rocket arena.
Yeah, so
Is that the highest res?
I thought that the art style reminded me a lot of Fortnite, even down to
100%.
some of the fonts that they used.
Yeah.
Just felt very Fortnite. I mean, like if you even just look at their beta, like this is almost a Fortnite font.
100%. Yeah,
Right?
100%.
Oh yeah, it's a little Fortnite-y as well in style. You're right.
So the art style is kind of
Yeah.
like, well, that's you guys really maybe pulled
Is it
some
on Real Engine?
inspiration.
Oh yeah, look at the trailer. It is cut like a Fortnite trailer. Now that you're saying it,
Sure, and
I get it.
And that's their whole thing. They're going for a kid-friendly vibe to it, right? It is free to play.
I think that's smart, actually.
It is to jump. It does have you jumping in. As we said, yeah, no killing. What it is basically Smash Bros. As you see right there, that's that guy getting eliminated.
That actually sounds
when
cool.
when your health bar gets up, you start getting a flashing thing of you're about to, and then it's basically one more shot will kick you out of the world. You'll lose a life or whatever the game mode is, and then come back in, skating on a rocket, come back in and get ready to fight
And you
back
guys
for it
played
again.
it.
We
play it,
did.
yeah.
So we played a couple of different modes. So the 3 modes that we played were.
I got it as knockout.
Yes.
Where you get 3 pips, you lose them and you lose or whatever.
So you have you have 3. It's 3v3. So everyone has 3 badges, and then every time you get knocked out of the
you
arena,
lose.
you lose a badge, and then the first team to lose all their badges loses.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea is you don't want to get knocked out and lose a badge.
Next one we played was Mega Rocket, which is basically capture.
Mega Rocket.
Yeah. So you just capture points
Control.
on the map where the rocket is. You capture the rocket.
And then third one was Rocket Ball.
Correct.
Where there's there's a ball rolling around, you got to get it and then advance it to the goal. But people are shooting at you. You can lose it. You
That's
can
been
throw
more
it.
like capture the flag, maybe, but a little.
It does feel a lot like capture the flag.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Or
They
some
called
kind of
it
scoring game.
basketball meets football, but there was really no basketball element to
The
this
one thing
at
is that you
all.
can throw it, so you can kind of shoot it, but like
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, you can pass the ball between the
rugby.
people on your team.
Yeah.
And so they showed us a couple different characters. The character that I really enjoyed my most amount of time with was Amphora.
Me too.
So she was super cool. On the website, they say she's the pride of the undersea crystal reef colony. Raised by a pair of brilliant scientists, Amphora has all the intelligence of her parents and unleashes fast-firing charged torpedo and devastating undersea mines.
But more
She can-
importantly, she can turn to water like Alex Mack.
well, it looks like she turns into a stingray.
A stingray made of water.
Yeah.
But if you sit
So-
there and you go, this is the sequel to Alex Mack, you can just pretend she's
Yeah.
Alex Mack.
So I might have missed this a little bit,
Sure.
or if you mentioned it. There's classes that you choose from, or
It's not classes, you have individual
it's
characters.
hero-based.
So I think it's like champions or it's
Well,
like
that's
a
what I
full.
meant.
like
Like
Overwatch.
Overwatch.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's what I meant by that. Sorry, but there's different characters that have specific loadouts. It's not like Fortnite or anything where everybody has the same.
Correct.
No, it's not like where you
You
can
don't loot.
interchange your inventory with the.
Is there a loot?
No.
Not that we were aware of.
Find
It's-
weapons on the map?
No,
There-
you
the-
come in with your weapons and your abilities and
Overwatch.
use them there.
Yeah, it's very much. It's more like Overwatch than Fortnite gameplay. Just the art style reminded me a little bit more of Fortnite than Overwatch. But
Absolutely.
yeah, so each one has like a throwable ability usually, or a gun ability, and then a special. And so kind of
You mentioned Sea of Thieves. I played a lot as Blastbeard as well, right? He's got an area of effect smash to get everybody away when you're trying to use a
the guy
control
I think
point.
we saw.
Yeah, but you also have a giant charge shot for your cannon. You have a smaller cannon to do stuff. And like she's got Amphora has the mines or the missiles that she was talking about, right? Where
Yeah,
you shoot them off and they actually track on their own and go
the
after
charge
things.
torpedo. Yeah. Yeah, the other character I really liked was Izel. And so she hails from the Gemstone Jungle. So she's got a spear and then bola snares, which is great because so her ability kind of closes the gap. And so what's cool about her is that if you're a more aggressive player, she can do a lot of charges and close quarters attacks. I mean, when they say it's an arena, it does feel like an arena. It doesn't feel like a map where there's like a lot of corridors and things to learn. Like you can see pretty much everybody all the time where everybody is on the arena. You're not going to be having to go hunt your opponents down. You will see where they are.
Halo arena, if you will, right?
Yeah,
like a map design that's not too big.
I would say it's more Unreal Tournament.
More UT.
It's meant to have you frantically playing and going and shooting each other.
It's like super fast matches.
Okay.
As you play, you're unlocking, or you have artifacts. You're leveling up, which unlocks artifacts, which you can then apply and choose what to your character. So
what
like this
artifacts
is
do for you, yeah.
Exactly. If they're gonna make your special come quicker, if they're gonna do these different ideas, right? So there is a leveling system there, and
you didn't get to see much of it, is what you're saying?
Not really. They had a whole bunch of shit unlocked, but we weren't. So you're applying it yourself. But
okay.
that's
and
the idea of keeping
like
you
a
coming
couple
back.
things that we saw that are under embargo. For a couple more weeks, I believe. But I see what you did there,
Friends.
Fran.
Playing, I like
but
that.
What I really liked about the customization, because as a free-to-play game, obviously they're going to rely on microtransactions for cosmetics in order to get people excited about making purchases in the game, just like Fortnite does. You can customize the rocket trail. So you have like this tail, right? And you
like
can
the
make
contrail,
like the comet tail kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so you can
cool.
customize the color of it and the style and the look of it. They have a bunch of different costumes.
Yeah, different
and,
skins for you to put on your character
things like
and stuff.
that, shaders.
It's
etc.
interesting.
Weapon skins?
No, I didn't see
I
anything
didn't
about
see
that.
weapon skins,
No.
but I think some of the weapon skins might go along with the full costume skin. But I would have to go back and look to be
Emotes?
sure. I believe there's emotes.
I think there was stuff on that. No battle pass on that we saw. There was nothing
Wait
on there.
until
that
you
we
guys
saw
are like,
stuff.
I couldn't say. I'm waiting to tread into that.
I'm just saying what we
territory.
saw, Fran. So wink,
Sure,
wink. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Who knows
What's
what's
going on
true.
over there? Andrea, what was your takeaway from it, though? Is it a game you're going to play at launch, you think?
Which is when?
It was just closed beta now. 2019 is what
we
they're saying.
don't know
sometime.
when the actual launch is going to be, but I definitely will check it out. I
Yeah.
like that it's fast paced. So many of these PvP only games feel like, you're constantly dying and respawn. And it's just, it gets exhausting. And I like that you don't actually die, you just get knocked out of the arena. So it doesn't feel like you're getting punished necessarily. And I think the modes from what we've seen are really easy to pick up, but this is not something that I can imagine myself playing for hours and hours at a time.
I think it's fun. I think there will be people who want to get in there and play for hours and hours at a time and actually get in there and grind it out. It is, when you're talking about if you're drawn to that kind of gameplay, why not Fortnite, why not Overwatch kind of thing? I don't know if if from what we saw in this first taste gave me that. What it did though is 3v3 definitely was, oh man, this is going to be a party mode. Like we have to do a party mode of this, of us hopefully getting 6 of us all together to play each other on it. Because it was fun, it was frantic, especially for, getting dropped in and just playing a bunch of rounds as we did for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Like I felt like by the end of it, I had a pretty good grasp of how to be M4, right, and run around and do things and actually be competitive, which is something for those kind of games.
Yeah, from the distance, it sounds like a pretty smart and unique mix. I like that it's sort of for everybody, that it doesn't go down this road of being ultra, violent or whatever. And I think Fortnite nailed that and is a big reason for its success. And even then, it's got real guns that sometimes parents or others are sort of concerned about. But that Smash Brothers model, the more I think about it, that's what one of the things that made Smash Brothers special. Like you get the crap beat out of you, but you had a stock, and it's just fun. And when you play other fighters, even if they're different styles, just getting knocked out or beaten up after a few rounds is it's a little more hardcore, called professional vibe. So maybe this will have a little more of that just fun arcadey, get in, get out. But with a skill gap, you do still need a skill gap in it.
For sure.
But that's why, honestly, when I go into Fortnite on PC in particular, but any of these platforms, and Apex is the same, people have gotten so good.
Yeah.
And part of it is the style of gameplay. So I'm kind of curious if this maybe can keep it from going too far to the end of the skill gap. Although that's, again, arguably what attracts a lot of players is when you can go really high and be really good at it. So.
I think it's one of those that there's going to be the dedicated who want to get in there are going to have strats that allow them to actually fucking own a map, but I don't think they'll be unbeatable strats.
Hopefully it does. I mean, Smash Brothers has that. There's just players who are
when
incredible.
I was playing as Amphora in the 3v3, stock lives match, I felt like, oh man, I'm doing a great job here, and I saw other people being Blackbeard, whatever I call him, Blastbeard, and I was like, oh man, I want to try him in the next one, and the next one was the capture control points thing. And like at first I was like, oh, I'm getting worked. Everybody's shooting faster than me. They're dealing more damage. But then when I figured out the AOE attack, right, that was like, oh, how to clear people from the zone, keep my team in, and actually go with it. I could see where you can actually have a strat there if you wanted to get that deep into it with your 3 of like, all right, cool, it's this kind of thing. I'm gonna run Blastbeard. You run this. You know how to do that. We'll see.
I want in on it. You said around May
23rd is the start of the beta.
3rd. That's soon. Next week.
Yeah. And it's on PC, so there you go.
Yeah.
Loser. Andrea.
Yes.
After we played the new Splinter Cell, we went off to independent game. I'm kidding right now, isn't it? Or am I kidding? I don't know. And I like,
Pretty solid.
Yeah, fake it out. Now, if we ever do break an embargo, was I really
Rubysoft.
breaking the embargo? Was I not? Yeah, fucking Ubisoft.
As long as you recover like that, you'll never know.
Nobody knows. You know what I mean? Now, we went to the independent game night, right? One of my favorite ones at Judges, where basically all the indies get together and like, listen, we can't afford one of these expensive hotel rooms. Here's a place for you to drink a bunch of beer and play a bunch of games. And we go, yeah. Some of those games are embargoed. However, you and I took the internet by storm playing Supermarket Shriek.
We sure did.
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're familiar with Supermarket Shriek. It was in the original Kinda Funny Games showcase back in December. And the idea, of course, is that it's a person and a goat in a shopping cart that yell, and their voices propel them through the maze, basically, right? The track of obstacles to get you to the finish line inside of a supermarket. However, Fran, we've seen it before, and we've understood, of course, your right trigger and your left trigger are going to control the person or the goat, right? And that you hold the thing, and that'll push out the sound, and think of it like you have 2 jets. Right,
Okay.
So if you only use one jet, you can then turn whatever direction that jet's pushing you on the side of the
Or
cart.
like you're in a canoe.
Or a canoe, I guess, sure, if
Okay.
you think like that, right? However, what makes the game super interesting,
A
Kev,
small
can you bring
one.
up another trailer while we talk about it too?
Yeah, I would love to get some. I'm like a
Is
little
that,
lost on
and this is the way we will play it for party mode. We will play. I mean,
Oh,
you
you
and I
have
got
to, yeah.
the way Andrea and I did is that, of course, it's not. You don't have to use the controller. You can plug in microphones and just shriek.
And scream.
So it'll assign the microphone to the right or the
That
left,
sounds awful.
and then you get to go. Oh, it was great. Trust
That's
me.
pretty hilarious. I love that.
My wife was telling me because
Yeah,
she
so
was
you
there
can
working.
see on each of the sides, the right or the left side, the audio bar.
and you turn by screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like sensitive. So if you're using the controllers here on the audio bars, right, for your shoulders, you can just give it a little bit of juice or a lot of juice. But if you want to, yell in yourself, there you go. So you see, this is actually an interesting one. This is a earlier build, I think, because the build we were playing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andrea, had far more pronounced like audio waves coming off the people. So you saw
Yeah,
in
so
the
you could
goat.
see who was.
Wait, I got an idea, Kev.
Yeah.
Can you replay that? Or just or the gameplay, just so we can see the gameplay. I was like, can you guys show me what it might sound like?
Yeah, so there you can see it there, the audio waves coming off.
Yeah. But what would you be doing
Well,
right
no, you don't
now?
even have to do
so
that. You don't have to do that. Go
Greg
to
was literally
go to
doing-
twitter.com/gameovergreggy. Kevin.
we can
And
find
we
it.
Put a clip of it?
Yeah.
Game Informer had the exclusive. We gave them the rights that they could put up the exclusive clip there, and we did there.
Greg was just going,
Because initially when I started going, ah!
it was too loud.
Like everyone in the room up there, and like I was talking to Jen about it last night at dinner because she was there working creature in the well, and she was like, "Yeah, no, when you were doing that, everybody was like, that's your husband, huh?" And she's like, "Yeah, that's my husband. That's what he does."
Greg,
Keep scrolling. You'll get
but
for a
I was
retweet
making-
from Ian.
I was making
know.
goat noises.
There it is. You just passed it.
There
you
it is,
go. Play
yeah.
that one.
Imra
Breaking.
Oh, you were there with Imran.
Yeah, Imran breaking the news over there.
Are we
As
gonna
he
be able
does
to
in
hear
Game Informer. Maybe is the sound turned up on the TV?
Don't worry
Kev?
if not, Kev. They can pretend.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Oh, he's got
Kevin's
us.
prepping it. Here we go.
What a professional.
3, 2, 1.
Nope, sound is off
No
on
sound.
Twitter.
No sound for us.
There we go.
Go from the beginning. I'm not ready to start.
Oh no, Greg, you didn't go!
So this is after I started dialing it down. Party mode, I won't die. I'll be fucking yelling and doing it.
It's your house. You can do whatever
And there you go.
want.
1 star. That's what we got on it because it's hard.
It's really
it's
hard.
really hard. But here's the thing. It's fun. It reminds me of somewhere between Overcooked, Goat Simulator, and Octodad. Right, where part of the fun and the challenge is the fact that this is a far from precise control scheme, and then it's the Overcooked method of working together. And Greg, you didn't go. You know what I mean? And then with the microphones, I couldn't communicate. I was the only one playing on a mic because the other mic wasn't working. So Andrew would be like, "Do this, do that," and I was like, I can't tell you what to do. I need you to do because if I do,
it's
it'll
part of
ring
the
up.
challenge,
If
right?
you talk, it'll like
into
screw
the
it up.
microphone. Yeah, exactly. So, and I don't know how it's going to work for single player by using a microphone because
Yeah, I don't know if you can, right?
with independent out, I think you maybe have to use the triggers.
Yeah.
but-
Streamers, you need a way to mute that.
No, you want that. You want that.
Every time you talk to chat, you
Yeah,
just
exactly. Yeah. But like it
was a dumb fun game.
It is, and that's what I think. I don't think they're looking for anything else from it, right? In terms of what it is. But I like that when the first ones we did, Andrea, right, were all right, cool. You're going through the shopping or the supermarket, and it's basically like bumper bowling, right, where you're just hitting the sides and no big deal, and you get corrected and you go. Whereas the later ones were all right. Now there's axes swinging back and forth. There's this fire hazard. There's these things that are propelling you up into the air. There's a super hot level, and the world only moves when you shriek. So it's like it's cute and it's fun.
Yeah.
And from the taste of it, I think it goes. When I saw it for a showcase, and I'd seen it, I think just in video form, it was that question of what a cute idea. Is it something you'd want to play for a length of time?
No.
I think watching it, I think the levels progress enough that I do think it's going to be, in the same way I would do Overcooked for Joey and I or Poe and I, right, where it's like, cool, we did it. Well, man, we only got 2 stars. I bet we can perfect that better because I screwed up here and I shouldn't do this and yada yada, and go back and do it again. And then the next level keep getting harder and challenging and doing these things. I think over time there's a lot there to go through and play. So
looks funny.
It's definitely funny and it'll be an interesting one. Andrea.
Yes.
Sayonara Wild Hearts was there. Did you play this?
Did not. Not my thing.
I won't. Yeah, I've talked about it in Gamescast before.
Neon.
Yep, it's the one that's like a concept album. I watched the demo. I didn't play it. It was the same demo I played back around GDC or whatever. Still super hyped for that game. Still think it's a super cool idea of basically playing through an indie music album with cool party mode, pinks and purples, and shooting and kicking and getting hearts and stuff.
Do we know around when it comes out?
No, I still don't think they have anything closer than that. You know how these indies are.
One of those.
One of these things. We'll get it when we get it. You know what I'm saying? No, but you did play the Sojourn.
Yes.
Tell me about the Sojourn.
So I started playing this game. So this is a first-person puzzle game being published by Iceberg Interactive, and the name of the dev is escaping my mind right now, and I don't have I had to handwrite notes for this one because I didn't bring my laptop with me to the independent evening. But I started...
Shifting Tides.
Shifting Tides, that's it. I started playing, and then...
The Sojourn.
The problem with playing a puzzle game at a event with so many people around,
where the guy's screaming to be a goat behind you.
Everybody wants to backseat game you too, and so
no,
and I was like,
I hate that.
And I got flustered because so many people were like, no, try this or go here, and so I put the controller down. I was like, you know what?
You go ahead.
No
one plays it now.
So Steimer picked up the controller, and I sat down next to her and watched her play, and we ended up working together a little bit. But it's a really
screaming at her. No, go over there. Would you? No,
did not.
Dude, I can't wait for one of the games we played that was co-op
I
for the
know.
embargo to lift because I was doing another demo for Ann, and I took off my headphones and I tweeted it, but I heard from the other side. What was it? It was like, God damn! It was Andrea. God damn it! Help me! And Steimer.
I heard
come
about
over here.
I said, stop yelling at me, because Steimer kept
You guys
yelling
start
at me.
fighting.
Because it was a co-op game that you really have to work together on, and like we had a rough go. Then we ended up doing really well, and we were one of the only people to get us far in that demo.
Very nice.
The people next to us gave up.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm excited.
But anyway, I don't want to accidentally talk about that game.
No.
So
I mean, me and McCaffrey beat it. Don't worry.
yeah.
No big deal. IGN for the win.
Did you get? No, we'll talk about that.
No, it was right when Sam Fisher came back and was like, "It's your turn, kid." Tossed me the goggles.
So the Sojourn is a game about lightness and dark, and so that's a puzzle game where you shift between the light mode and the dark mode, and certain puzzle elements will show up in each mode. And so in order to shift the mode, you walk through the level and you'll see these little flames on like the walkway, and so you step into the flame and then it shifts to the dark mode. When you're in dark mode, there's a meter attached to how long you're in the mode for.
Right.
If you're standing still, the meter doesn't move. But as soon as you start to move, the meter starts to go down. And so you have to use the meter to strategically position yourself throughout the level to find out, like, so if I'm in dark mode and a bridge appears, like, okay, how many steps is it going to take for me to get over to that bridge and cross the bridge before the bridge disappears underneath me, right?
Got it. Is this isometric, 2D?
No, it's first person.
Oh, it's first person.
Yeah, first person 3D. And there's
Gives
another...
off Witness vibes in terms of a glance, and it's a puzzle game. Obviously,
Right.
the mechanics are very different.
Very different, yeah. So there's also a swap element. So you see these statues, almost like pieces of art, throughout the level, and when you're in dark mode, you can swap places with them. So when you swap, the statue will move to where you are, and you will move to where the statue was in the level. So you can use that to help solve
back and
puzzles,
forth
because there's a
sometimes.
lot of in some of the later levels that we played, you have to position those statues in very specific spots on the map in order to progress. And so it's this puzzle of like, how do I swap it around the map in order to get it into the right spot, and then also keeping in mind this like light and dark mode and how that affects the world. And so they layer in more puzzle elements on top of it. I asked about the narrative of the game. It's like, so what's happening with the story here? And they said there's really like no structure. It's designed to be metaphorical. It's designed to be up for interpretation, like any piece of art. They're like, if you go into a museum and look at a piece of art, everyone's going to interpret what that art means differently. And the game makers really wanted to kind of put that emphasis in the narrative of this game. I thought it was kind of cool.
It's about
Yeah,
the
for sure.
Force and the dark side. Got it.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's about, Frank.
Sojourn means a temporary stay. I guess I didn't know that. I don't know if that's the intention of that.
I mean,
Let's
it makes
temporary
sense.
stay in the
I know
dark
that
world.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's
Hats
it is
off to them, they
temporary
nailed it,
side.
you know
So
what I mean?
it was cool.
Great. And then the final one that we can talk about now, the creature in the well.
Yes. So I had not heard anything of this game.
Full disclosure,
Name
I've heard a
sounds
lot
familiar.
about it.
Jean-Pierre Saint-Onge-Miller was the one doing the demo.
Yeah, propaganda represents this. And if that wasn't enough of a reason for disclosure, it's made by Flight School, the people who hired me to do the crab game back in the day. So like, there you go. Don't listen to me if
disclosure.
you don't want to about it, but yeah.
So I didn't know anything about this crab game, but I saw that a couple other people playing this game, and I was really intrigued by the art style. So there's these
Kev, can
two
you throw up a
guys,
trailer?
Adam and Bo. Bo is the
I remember this now.
coder, I believe, and Adam's the art guy.
That's correct.
And the art is heavily inspired by the creator, the artist of the original Hellboy comics, and so it does have this very comic booky kind of style to it. So it's top down, isometric, 2.5D, and it's an action adventure sort of.
Pinball breakout, action
pinball
adventure,
action- it's a
Dark
pinball action
Souls.
game,
Yeah,
yeah.
We've
exactly.
talked about this and watched
Creature
it
in the well.
on Gamescast once before when the trailer hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
We've
it's-
talked about it.
Yeah. No, well, it's not even that. Tim played it at Nindies at GDC, and he
That's
talked about
when
it
it
there
was.
too.
That was the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
reveal.
So it's not top
Right.
secret.
So
Creature
it was
in the well announcement trailer.
Yeah, so here's the announcement trailer for people watching on YouTube. And I really enjoyed the combat because it built upon the difficulty without being oppressively difficult. And so you play as this robot bot C. You're inside this mountain that is a weather machine that's causing this sandstorm by this creature, and this creature is trying to keep its dominance over these town people. It's like the loose narrative the Jen was explaining to me. And so you have this sword, and you hit these what look like tennis balls almost into these bumpers that look like pinball bumpers throughout the world to charge up your attacks and use them to attack enemies. And I mean, I really loved this game. And so I was
Yeah, I
really
think it looks
excited to
really
hear
cool.
it's coming to Nintendo Switch. I think it's a perfect game. And it's also coming to PC. And then they have another platform announcement happening at E3.
Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt what I say, but I'll start from this point, is that I played an early demo of Creature, and I was like, meh, I don't really like it. It's not wasn't I didn't like it. I was like, I don't get it based on any of this. And then playing it now, months and months and months later of what it is and where it is, I was like, oh shit, this is fun and I like it. And I do like the way it's progressing. Because originally I was having trouble wrapping my head around aiming the balls, doing all that stuff. But again, like pre-alpha demo, right? Like super early. Whereas this one, they've come so far in terms of, I think from the get-go, it's easier to understand when you get in there of taking these motes of light, right? Bouncing them around, taking down the walls, aiming them correctly.
He doesn't know what that means, friend.
I do.
You said
Destiny
motes and
nerds.
Destiny,
I do
yeah,
know what it
motes. He
means.
said motes, sorry.
Nerds. But being able to hold
doesn't
it,
remember.
direct it, be able to charge it all off.
He's no longer a Destiny
You know,
player.
Fake fan.
when you're a guardian, you're a guardian for life. That's what they say.
Sure.
All right, eyes up, guardian. I know all these
your-
references.
What's your light level at?
I don't know. I don't even know
He's
anymore.
still got the terminology out. You're definitely
Exactly.
You're
Yeah.
still in.
Exactly. I listen to Peter Dinklage all the time.
Oh
If
no.
only he was still in the event. That's a good memory to go back
Yeah,
to.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Dinklebot.
So yeah, Creature in the Well. Interesting.
Looks cool.
I'm looking forward to it now. Actually,
Maybe
it actually
for-
turned the corner for me.
Now that you guys have played more and seen it a couple times. Is the core of the gameplay mostly a pinball-esque mechanic, or is it more fighting the enemies? Like
It is
that's the thing I
mostly a
can't piece-
pinball-esque. I mean,
it's a lot of
the
like,
demo-wise.
batting into stuff, and there's a lot of things coming, dodging. It's almost like a shooter in some ways. It looks
Actually,
like.
there is a lot of bullet hell mechanics in the game as well, particularly in the boss fight. So you have two basic attacks. You have just a regular swing where you'll hit these orbs or balls into
Motes of light.
other into enemies, and then you have a charge attack. So once you get, so you saw maybe in the trailer there that there'll be multiple orbs on screen, so you can charge up and kind of like grab them all in like this magnetic field, and then you can hit them all at once, and it'll send all of them flying.
Because some of the rooms are timed, right? So there's a bunch of different panels you need to knock down. But if you were to go one by one, they'd reset and come back up. So you need to charge them up, go out, hit them all down. And then on top of that, you saw in the trailer too, like the red lines will start to appear, like, and it'll like crisscross like the top of a delicious
like a laser,
pie,
and then
a
it'll set
lattice.
the orbs on fire, which will make them more powerful as an attack.
And the lattice will hurt you, right? Like if you get
Right.
caught in the red,
But
But if
you're
you get
dodging
hit
that
by the
kind of
laser,
stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Seems cool.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of cool stuff going on, of course. Flight School, now working on, I guess, their second best game, because, of course, Island Time VR, a much better game with a better voice cast. There's no voices in Creature.
I didn't hear any voice
There's
in
no
a VO.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe they'll hit me back up to voice the Creature.
There it is.
You know what I mean?
You've got a couple of ins. Maybe you get that. Yeah, or the goat sound.
Getting Out. No Judges Week, because I think that's pretty much where the embargoes end, right, Andrea? We
Unless
can't
you wanted to
anything.
talk about After Party.
Oh shit, I forgot about After Party. Right, Kevin had After Party the list there. Yeah, After Party, the demo there. I talked about After Party last week, right, on this show of like games for 2019. I was super excited for, and After Party made my list. It made the list based on the trailers, obviously the pedigree of the studio, and then the voice cast, right, of like Janita being in it, Ashley being in it, Alana being in it. Yeah, she's the main character. I'd never played it though, so I had never actually played it. I'd just seen stuff. So this was my first time to sit down with the demo that I think is the same demo that's been around forever.
I think it's a GDC demo, yeah.
Beer pong, right, to try to get up into the party at hell and stuff like that. And man, not only I was already on my list based on everything I just said, but actually playing it and getting into it, it's even higher, I think, on my list, because even though what was the last game from them? The name always escapes me.
Oxenfree.
Thank you. Oxenfree didn't click for me in the way I wanted it to. I enjoyed it fine, but I didn't think it was crazy.
Yeah, so
whatever.
this is what it looks like.
Exactly. This one is already there with the humor, the setting, the story. I'm way more involved, of course, with these two kids that have been sent to hell. They don't think they're supposed to be there yet. And through the course of this demo, they're working on how to get out of hell. Or
They have
figure
to
out,
beat the devil in a drinking
they have
contest.
to out-party the devil, who parties every
Yeah.
night, right? And so, like, but it was that you go in there and you go to the bar, and it's all conversation-based, at least from what we've played, right? So, like, you go there and you're talking to people, and there's different choices, which lead to different options.
There's a couple like mini games.
It's
Right,
cool
I'm getting to
style.
it, yeah. When you get to the bar, though, you can order drinks, and the drinks give you different abilities and give you different options or whatever.
Do they always talk in tweets?
No, this is
That's
just
just
this is like
section.
as general.
That's
This
really
is
cool,
the demo
though.
I played. This is the
Yeah,
demo
the
I played.
style and the animation and the
Right.
lighting is really cool.
But then, so the drinks give you different abilities, which give you, or different conversation options, which then can get you into different parts of the game or whatever. But then here, what's going to go on in this demo is that you go and play beer pong, which is one of those mini games, right? Yeah, where you're throwing it, and as you drink, the screen starts, getting more and more shaky, and it's harder to play the game of getting your beer
almost
thing.
seems like a Tim Schafer game in some ways. I don't
Totally,
know why,
no,
but-
100%. Yeah, you could see
That's
that
cool.
100%. Yeah, and like
Is it funny at all?
hilarious.
Yes, it's
That's the whole
very
point of
funny,
it, right? Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, because it's night school, right? And I mean, that is, I think, even Oxenfree, like, that was one of the big things about it for me. And that's where I think Oxenfree for me just got weird at the end, where it was just like, I liked them interacting and talking to each other, and then when they started adding the really super weird stuff, supernatural stuff, I was like, I don't know if I needed it in this game.
Yeah.
About being a teenager
here,
or whatever. In this,
maybe
but
works
in
better.
yeah, totally. I'm very
Yeah,
excited for
I
it.
got a little
Cool.
confused. It is night school and flight school.
Yeah.
Night school,
bit.
flight school.
Do you know when this is coming out? Anyone?
I think for after.
Thought it was late 2019.
Give it a Google real quick. I forget.
Everything's
Let me see what my
linked.
notes are. Of course. Well, it's because they're all indies. They're not fucking tied to anything. You know
Yeah.
these people, Fran.
They're not even. They're
They
like,
don't
I
care.
don't know. We're still working on it. That's normally the answer.
There was one of the games we saw that was coming out summer, but I can't
what's the
remember
one?
which one that was.
Can you
Well,
pre-order
I think that
it?
was Creature. Creature's trailer ended with
Okay.
summer, didn't it?
Sounds right.
Man,
It's not like usually it'd be on the front. Go to the store. Is it right there, Kev? In the store? Probably not.
I think it's 2019. That's it, but I don't know.
Okay. Don't worry about it.
It was a terrible
I just always, I'm always thinking about that.
store. It didn't give us any answers.
No sweat. You're probably right that they don't have it yet.
I don't think. I mean,
It
I
is
think it's just
listed on
2019.
Steam.
What do you got for me from Steam?
And it does not seem to have a release date. You're right.
These indies, man, they're in no rush to do anything. You know what I mean? It drives me crazy.
All those resources. I mean, come on, put them to good use.
I'm looking on just even on my things here. No, God,
Did
nothing.
Creature in the Well have a
Mhm.
release date, by the way?
The trailer we just watched.
I think summer 2019.
That's right. That was a summer game, wasn't it? I think so.
The trailer we just watched said summer 19. So then getting out of Judges Week, because now we're officially embargoed on everything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's all I can say. It's an embargo, friend. Don't twist my arm. Don't break my arm.
Let me ask you this: is there an embargo day you can say is coming up?
Dude, there's so
Can
many
you even
embargo
say
days.
when? Like
No.
there's
So
something
many fucking
Sunday.
embargo
You
days.
can't even say.
No.
Here, it's a pretty.
Most of them are during the week of E3.
Yeah, there's a
That's the
few
most we can
drips, but
say.
then yeah, the
19th-ish.
deluge is
Yeah.
the week of E3 when the show starts.
Yeah,
as
no, like
usual.
most of them are like when the show proper starts,
June
like
8th
after
and-
the conferences.
And 9th is when things start to really heat off that weekend.
yeah, so
right?
Tuesday the 11th is day one.
of officially of
Yeah.
E3 first day, but the conferences and stuff. And okay,
So on the way to Judges Week, Fran Mirabella. You know what? Actually,
you got in a challenge with the devil.
no, I
And he
wish, man.
challenged you.
I
Wait,
started a little game called what?
Is there a sponsor read that we
There
should
is.
maybe
I was
do?
about to do it. That's what you saw. You saw my gear click. You saw my gear. On the way to Judges Week, I played a little game called American Fugitive.
You don't say.
And I'll tell you about that after a word from our sponsors. Today we're brought to you by Robinhood. Robinhood is an investing app that lets you buy and sell stocks, ETFs, options, and cryptos all commission free. While other brokerages charge you up to $10 for every trade, Robinhood doesn't charge any commission fees. So you can trade stocks and keep all of your profits. Plus, there is no account minimum deposit needed to get started, so you can start investing at any level. The simple, intuitive design of Robinhood makes investing easy for newcomers and experts alike. View easy to understand charts and market data and place a trade in just 4 taps on your smartphone. You can view stock collections such as 100 most popular. With Robinhood, you can learn how to invest in the market as you build your portfolio. Discover new stocks, track your favorite companies, and get custom notifications for price movements so you never miss the right moment to invest. Robinhood is giving listeners of the Kinda Funny Gamescast a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help you build your portfolio. Sign up at greggy.robinhood.com. That's greggy.robinhood.com. Started a game called American Fugitive. So what I'll say is I'm super early in it. But this is what I do usually is I get people all the time on my email, hit me up, right, with the, okay, hey, we
Yeah,
got this
try
game.
this out, here's
you want a
code.
code or whatever? I take the code, I put it on the thing, I play it on a flight, and I'm like, not for me. Okay, I get it. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. American Fugitive, I was actually talking to them. It was Curve Digital, right? I'm talking to them about another game, I think for the showcase. Like, hey, we got this other game coming out on May 21st for PS4 and PC, May 23rd for the Nintendo Switch. Do you want a code? It's called American Fugitive. I was like, seems like an interesting name. Sure. Took it, downloaded it, started it, and it's one of those that I played maybe all of 30 minutes on the end of my LA flight because those flights are so early,
Yeah.
and it's one that's now been sticking in my brain. Like, I got to get back to that. The idea here is imagine a throwback to classic GTA, but with more modern stylings. So it's that top down. You are a guy who's been, I wrote down his name, right? Yeah, Will Riley. You've been accused of the murder of your father. Kevin, if you can throw up a trailer for this American Fugitive.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah, I was watching it too.
It's
Why are you watching on your phone?
telling you
Fran?
this narrative and stuff because Fran knows he's faster than you. He can just get it done. You know what I mean?
Just
Don't
wait
even have to
two
say
You
why.
can't
I
wait
mean,
2
I would
seconds,
like to
huh?
see it on
Try
the
not to
television,
disrupt,
Kevin.
man. He's going through his impressions.
And so
Thanks,
you can
Kevin.
see it here. It's got this like top-down look, right? You see him carjacking right here, running against the cops.
Oh,
you have
yeah.
the star meter
Very,
down there.
like,
You have a health thing over there. And like I think
GTA-ish.
this is what I saw, which got me interested in it. Because I'm like, okay, sure, let's do more GTA, right? But then jumping into it, it does a bunch of different interesting things where sure you've been accused by murder, that's awesome, but immediately when I was playing it, it's like you're running around in this open world, as if you're watching right now, top down elevated style here, it very much looks like GTA
It's
here.
slightly tilted, full 3D.
Right. But like there was I went to the house, like it was the thing wakes up and it's telling you a story and like giving you dialogue choices of like just like the guy's face talking to his dad's face, you know what I mean, like the words there, and
Yeah.
but then it was like, all right, come to my house. And when you go to the houses and like because you can break in this open world, you can run and break into houses, you can do whatever. You come up on the houses, right, and it's like, do you want to peek in the window? And you can like peek in the window and it doesn't show you, it just says what you see or what's going on or whatever. And then when you break into the house or enter the house, what happens is you don't go in as a character, you get like the blueprint, and then like in this like I don't
Yeah, I
even
was
know,
like, it's not
adventure
rendered
style.
like this. It's like a mini game
It's
almost.
all it is just this is not exactly, but you get the house pop up and you say what room you want to go in, and then it'll just show you. It'll just like light up that room that you're in that room now. And it's like, do you want to search? You can search. When you run into people in there, like where I was playing, like I would broke into some lady's house. I went into a room. She was there, and so it pops up and it's like, do you want to intimidate or do you want to flee? Like it's like all these interesting choices
like
on top of it. It's like a layer. It's a new layer to a GTA game because of course back in those days, right, we weren't going into the buildings.
It's not the same, but it's almost reminded me of like obviously when BioShock added in their little pipe puzzles, but it's like a different layer in there.
Yeah,
of,
it's
like,
taking
you're
you-
sort of playing this mini
Right.
game, but this has got dialogue within it, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
exactly. And going through. So I'm super early in it, but I'm really anxious to get back to it.
It looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the original GTAs. Like, you know what I mean? I remember,
Yes.
you know, being a huge GTA 2 fan. Me and my friends played that nonstop.
Terrible game now, though, huh?
Of course, yeah.
Just
but
nothing,
like
bare bones that game.
that's why this one's interesting, right? If you're giving me a narrative I'm interested in of this guy trying to figure out who really killed his father, then this interesting world choice stuff in there. I put out more information from it, right? Like, yeah, May 23rd on Switch, May 21st PS4 and Xbox, and.
So we know.
Hold on.
What are you gonna do?
May 21st,
Trophies?
PS4 and PC. May 23rd, Nintendo Switch, and May 24th, Xbox One. I left that off. Sorry. It's Fallen Tree Games. The original. It's originally 2 guys. Now it's 5 people. The 2 studio founders have extended AAA backgrounds, including Time Splitters, Crisis, Black, and GoldenEye 007 Reloaded.
This is some like X-Rare and what was the name of the Time Splitter studio? It'll come to me
why I
later.
gotta-
This is what happens when you've been doing this. Is you had thousands of developers. and
Dude, today
games
I
in
couldn't
your mind.
remember the
True.
TurboGrafx. Like that's how much information's in my head now. I'm like, fuck Bonk. Where was
Yeah,
Bonk
where
on?
was
You know
Bonk's
what I mean?
adventure?
You know what I mean?
That's fine. That's good people.
The game's out for full next week. Hopefully, I'll get the chance to play more of it on this Florida trip on the
Free
flights.
Radical Design.
Free Radical. I was
Yeah.
wondering, is it David and
David Doak?
Is that who went on to do this?
I think they
or-
would have named him, right? That's a name, but I don't know.
Whatever the case.
Looking forward to
Good-
playing more,
good
and I'll
crack.
get back to you more on the next Gamecast I'm on, which I don't think is next week. Andrea,
Yes, Greg.
you were playing Dauntless.
Yes, so I won't spend too much time on this because I did a full preview for the 3rd segment of What's Good Games this week.
Where can I get
that? You can get it on the services where you download the Kind of Funny Gamescast. You
Oh.
can get it on podcast or at youtube.com/what'sgoodgames. And so I talk about it there for about 30 minutes because I did a really deep dive preview. I went over to the Phoenix Lab studio. It's down in San Mateo, just down the road.
Yeah.
Got to meet some of the satellite team that's there because they have 2 studios. They have the one here and then the bigger studio, which is up in Vancouver. So they've got about 100 people that have been working on Dauntless. And so for people who have not heard anything, Dauntless is an action combat game in the hunting action genre. So essentially this is their take on Monster Hunter.
Hell yes.
And I first saw this game and played it at PAX South 2016.
Oh, wow. So
And
a while
it's-
ago.
Yeah, and it's come a long way since then. So it was in closed alpha, and then it was in closed beta, and then it was in open beta, and now their launch is next week, May
Wow.
21st, on Xbox One, PS4, and PC on the Epic Game Store specifically. They haven't detailed their crossplay plans, just to say that they are going to do crossplay,
Okay.
which I thought was super exciting. Because that would have been really helpful when playing Monster Hunter World.
Yeah.
And so it's 4-player co-op, or you can do single-player matchmaking if you prefer. And you play a Slayer, and Slayers live for the hunt.
Slayer.
You are a silent protagonist, but you do get to customize. The character creator is fantastic. There's a ton of options to choose from. They don't do a gender system. They do more of a masculine and feminine body type, but then you can kind of mix and match feature sets. You can really make your character gender fluid if that's your bag. And so I thought that was really cool that they had so many customization options in the character creator. I had specifically asked about freckles because I couldn't find the freckle option, and they had one of the artists send a screenshot. They're like, it's in there, it's just not in the
Wow.
build you're playing.
I love when that
and
happens.
I was like,
They're
that's
we
so
need to
cool.
make sure they know.
Meanwhile, Division can't even make red hair for
Between
Andrea.
that and red hair, yeah. You better
Well,
watch
that's the
out.
difference between getting to see a game at the studio, right?
Yeah.
So it was really fun for them to invite me over. The art style I wrote looks like a mashup between Sea of Thieves and Fortnite.
That was the biggest thing for me.
It's
Is
a
when
little
I got an
illustrated.
email about. I remember I couldn't do the demo, but I looked into it at the time, and it was like, this is interesting. Just at a glance, it looks really pretty and it looks different. It's got. Kevin, can you bring this one up? Dauntless. It's like. Okay, like I'm interested in this, so I'm glad. I want to hear more. You liked it though, right?
Yes. So I spent about 60 minutes playing a couple different hunts in the game where they showed me a couple of the newer behemoths that they're introducing. So there's 20 distinct archetypes of behemoths in the game, and each distinct archetype has a lesser version, a dire version, and a heroic version, which is like their end game content. And so each of those different versions of the behemoths, of course, come with different armor sets, different weapon classes. There are 6 different weapon classes. They have, let me see here, a sword, an axe, a hammer, chain blades, a repeater, which is dual guns, and then the war pike. So you got the great sword on the player on screen here. And
take that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very much like the combat is very Monster Hunter. You know, you have to
dodge and roll.
Dodge and roll.
And I don't mean this as an insult as we watch it, right? But it seems like the HUD's more forgiving. It's less involved than Monster Hunter. Is that correct? Okay.
So
More
one of the
simplistic?
things that
Is that
attracted
what you
me
mean?
to the gameplay style of this is that it felt a lot more approachable in its RPG and combat systems than Monster Hunter. I played 75 hours of Monster Hunter World, and I know that's scratching the surface for diehard Monster Hunter players. But after 75 hours, I should have had a firm grasp on all of the systems, and I didn't. There were still plenty of crafting systems and things that I never even touched in my playthrough, and I never looked back. And that was something that was really exciting to me about really diving into Dauntless, is that there is a deep progression system, but it's not overly complicated, which I appreciated. So
It's free to play. You got nothing to lose.
Exactly.
Right? Like-
And so they have a guild system. You can do 100 players
Time.
per guild, which is cool. And then they're doing expanded social systems and guild rewards coming later in the summer. They have armor crafting, of course. There's like a whole sell system. The biggest takeaway I had with the armor system, which was like mind blowing for me, is that they have transmogrification in the game.
Oh, wow.
Because whenever you talk about a system or a loot grind that has a heavy cosmetic element to it, transmog is super important, because otherwise why are you grinding for a gear set that maybe you're going to, out level,
Right.
in a couple hours of gameplay. I talked to them about Destiny. I
Yeah.
was like,
Well, we've wanted
it
it
hurts my
forever.
heart that I can't wear some of the cool armor sets I've gotten
But I
in
was just saying,
Destiny.
for those who don't know what
Yeah.
transmogging is.
Oh, yes. So transmogging is when you get to take a piece of gear, the cosmetic of it, and keep the way it looks, but then you take another piece of gear and kind of strip the stats away from that gear, and put it into the cosmetic piece you want, or vice versa. You can think
so
about
you get
it.
to look cool, but still have the abilities of this other item, and it's been like a big
Right.
Diablo thing for a long time, obviously. And
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's been like it's a standard
Mitigate,
feature
yeah.
in MMOs, and
Yeah.
it just hasn't been in a lot of these live service games. And I don't know how difficult it is to build it into your RPG or your armor progression system, but I would just love to see it in more games.
Yeah, it's great that it's in there.
So yeah, so I mean, it looks cool. Obviously, because it's free to play, there are microtransactions, but it's emotes, dyes, armor, cosmetics. You could also get all of those for free. They will drop on hunts as well. So, and depending on the level of hunt and your score, because they have a ranking system, like an E through S, so E, D, C, B, A, and S. And so how well you do on the hunt, how many potions you take, and things like that. And they
you
have
get ranked in each hunt.
Yes, each hunt has a rank. And then they have unlimited inventory slots in Ramsgate.
nice.
So you have limited slots which you can take on the hunt with you, because obviously you
my
can't
God.
take 100 grenades with you, is the example I used in What's Good. But your stash in the world is
That's awesome.
they're not going to put
Wow.
restrictions. And I was like,
Just
yes!
crazy.
I know you only played a little bit of it. How long is a hunt? Is it super involved, or is it?
Depends on the level of the
Okay.
behemoth that you're fighting and how many people are with you, right?
Yeah.
So if you're taking on, one of these heroic behemoths by yourself, it could take you, probably 45 minutes or more, because it has the same hunt mechanic of you have to go out into the world, look for signs and for indications of where they are. Are
Yeah.
there birds flying up somewhere? Is the behemoth over there? And there's a flare system, so when you're playing co-op with people, you can look up into the sky, and they have customizable flares
Nice.
for the sky. And I was like, that sounds so awesome.
All right,
So-
cool.
That's neat.
I
I'm
mean,
interested.
like I said, it's free to play, so it's going to literally cost you nothing if you like the hunting action genre, and any of this sounds intriguing to you. It comes out next week.
Awesome.
Yeah, one interesting thing from the devs, they were talking to Casey DeFries over at IGN, who's a huge Monster Hunter fan, and I believe likes this game as well. But they were saying that when Monster Hunter came out, they're like, oh crap. Because you're free to play, you don't have maybe the deeper, sort of polish and systems that something like that has.
Well, they don't have the budget of Capcom,
Yeah,
right?
they don't have it. And the marketing and everything, oh no. But as it turns out, this genre isn't widely spread. And if you like Monster Hunter, there's not a lot else out there that's quite like it. And so what they found was on weekends, weekends, the first week it kind of went down, the player base of the beta players, but then the weekends they were noticing people were coming back in more droves. That it actually seems like a really good example of when you make a free-to-play based on some other games like this, that the community's getting bigger at large because there's more to play. And I just thought that was a really positive side that you don't, hear as much. Like sometimes you think that these big AAA games eat everybody else's lunch, but it sounds like it's been a good thing for Dauntless, and it's just going to grow the player base.
And the live service features that they're implementing, I detail more in the What's Good Games preview. If you guys want to hear about like the Hunt Pass and what that means, and like their public roadmap, it sounds like they're designing this around like daily quests, weekly quests, trying to get people into that grind to get them back into the game, on an ongoing basis, which Monster Hunter does not do.
Awesome. I'm really interested. Good job.
Looks great.
Hey,
Thanks for doing your on the field reporting.
Yeah, I can already tell it's one of those games. I'll be like, I'd love to play that. I don't know when I'm going to do that. I never got to Monster Hunter, so.
Exactly, because where are we going to find the time as we close out the show here talking about The Division fucking 2? As we record this, we are mere hours away from going and doing the raid for the first time. Andrea's running with the What's Good team. Fran and I are running with the Kind of Funny Games team. I figured we should have a little bit of talk here. What are we getting into? What are we ready for? How are we feeling about this?
So I am a little nervous based off what I've seen so far. It looks like you really have to min-max your specific pieces of gear towards specific types of enemies, mostly like elite damage bonuses. The world's first on PC happened in about 5 hours, which
that's
is
how long it took them, right?
Right.
But I think it actually did. What I thought was for some reason it took them much longer to get it done, but maybe they didn't start until later. Anyway, I walked that back.
I saw the screen cap saying
in other words, when I
5:20.
Yeah, I thought it was close
I didn't
to
see
5
the
hours.
screenshot until like 15 hours after it went live, and I think they just didn't tweet it out maybe or something. And
Division didn't say
My
anything
bad.
official till today.
But it was a very long time. I thought we were going to hear early was the point.
And
that
as
somebody
of
did it.
recording the show, there is not a console clear yet.
Yeah.
A
Us,
team
guys.
of all console
One of us
players
is
have
gonna
not
do
done
it
it
tonight.
yet.
Tonight,
Yeah,
one of us
what's
is going to
good?
do it.
Yeah,
We
right.
got it.
And so like you talked about like from what you've heard, I haven't watched the trailer for the raid. I haven't
I've
watched
watched
any of the streams for the raid. I know nothing about the raid. Like where are you guys at?
I'm blind.
I'm blind as
playing
well.
It blind.
Yeah,
No spoilers.
Yeah, I haven't looked at anything visually.
Yeah.
I've just been like looking in, our Discord, and we have like our PSN chat going, and kind of us talking about like how we're going to prepare with gear. But I haven't looked at what the raid looks like at all.
That's the best part about raids. I watched the trailer, which was fine. It didn't really spoil anything except for the location. And it's like,
I don't know where it is.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not going to
wanna
tell
know.
you. Not going to tell you.
Mars?
But that's the best part about a raid for me is playing it blind. And frankly, that's why I was very upset when I heard that it was days away from this new reset, getting everyone
Dude,
together.
they just sprung it on us. They said it was going to come the week after, and then they're like, just
Yeah.
kidding. It's in 3 days.
It was like this hurry up and wait. We've got to get title update 3 done. We want to make sure everything's right, and we'll let you know to hurry up and get together this Thursday. And this is where I'm going with it, I'm very sensitive to like, and thankfully it hasn't gone that way, but all the, professional streamers and game, folks who play all day, they get it done. Then the spoilers are out. Then the YouTube videos are up on the best strats, and people start coming in. Then you eventually, too, it's hard to get together teams, which we'll talk about more, I think, here. And then you have people on your team who've watched videos, and they're like trying to pretend. But then
Maybe if I just pull this lever and shoot. Oh,
and they
there it
start
went.
saying like, well, you might not want to use a sniper there, and it's like, wow, what? Like, stop it! Like, I just want to experience this for myself. I would have also loved to try for Worlds First, but it was just too
you
short
still
a
can.
time.
You can try for PS4 Worlds First. No one's
You can
taken the
tell I've
title
already
yet.
gave up. But actually, that is awesome that it's still potential. I don't know that Greg's going to stay up for 14 hours.
Fuck
or
you.
I will
Why are you
either, but-
blaming me?
No, you're
all
right. I'm not blaming you.
I'm in it to
trying-
win it,
No
motherfucker.
sleep till
I'm gonna be
Worlds
honest,
First.
Greg. I was hoping you were gonna be I thought you were gonna be the guy that's like, I gotta call it, and then I can be yeah, that's too bad. I guess we gotta go.
We were down in LA or Santa Monica for Judges Week, and so I turned to Jen. I'm like, all right, we need to have a serious conversation. And
she already knew what it was about.
I was like, I know we joke about the Division 2 being a burden on a relationship a lot, but now it really is. Friday, I need to just raid, and she's like, no problem, I'll go out for drinks.
Oh, I
Night
told
back
John
home.
Friday and Saturday are both raid days.
Yeah.
Like both.
But anyway, it's very special to do stuff blind. So I really just encourage the community, be respectful to that. Let people have their moment. Don't do any light spoilers. Oh, it's kind of like this. It always happens. There's this, I call it human nature, unfortunately, there's something about this entitlement of just having information and you can't stop sharing it. But I hope that doesn't happen.
We're
for us.
gossipers as a species. All right?
It's tough. But I had a question. Is this going to be your first raid, Greg?
No,
I've done Destiny.
He raided with us in
Oh,
Destiny.
but have you done like when they first release and all that?
Did I
you've
join
done
you right
raids.
away
It
with
was
Destiny?
pretty. It was so when we
was pretty
did.
We still didn't know things. I remember because it was
Yeah,
like
we did.
I remember when it was the one with the goblet
Leviathan.
dude, and when it was that thing of like
Callus.
jumping into the purple world, and people were like, "What the fuck are we doing wrong?" And it was like 4 hours of what the fuck.
I mean, that part of the
cool,
raid
the
requires such
Leviathan.
precision, and
We didn't even know at the time,
And you
though.
had to have the specific DPS weapon for the final, like the DPS wave, and
yeah.
if you didn't, you were screwed.
Yeah.
And-
But it was
always tough
that
at
was
first.
that was my first raid, and especially my first blind raid, and I'll never forget turning it off, and it had been like 5 hours, and I was like, we made little to no progress, and
Welcome
it
to
was
raiding.
awesome. That was awesome. I loved that. That's why even tonight, where it's like, cool, we go in there and we get clowned out after 4 hours and we've done nothing. It's like,
Dude,
that was so cool.
I was thinking about it. I was going to tell you. I was like, if you hadn't rated, I already thought about it, but you
Yeah.
have, so you already know. But I'm like, for everyone, you usually have two choices. You can drink some tea, which has no caffeine, and it's very relaxing, and try to keep yourself calm. That's your one option. Or you get a lot of booze.
Yeah. Oh, no way.
And you have one of two options is how you want to play it. I would recommend the tea option, which I never do, but I'm probably going to try that tonight because it can be tough.
Booze it up.
And
Booze
what
it
I've
up.
heard,
Yeah, but then you get sloppy if
Yeah,
you drink
you
too
you
much.
do
Yeah.
actually. You do. I actually.
Sloppy.
And then if you're the guy on the raid team, that's the sloppy one.
Yeah, you don't want that. But I was going to point out, I don't know anything about it. I want to keep it that way. But I do know that people I follow who I respect have been dropping out. Some people who are very good, like M Tashed, if you know M Tashed at all. He's really good. He's done tons of high DPS strat build videos. And like his team just like couldn't do it. And that was on PC, I believe. And I'm just like, oh boy. Like I didn't expect this of the Division raid. It's an 8-person raid as well, which is new.
Which is
but it-
even tougher to coordinate 8 people.
I've heard that from what I'm hearing, it almost sounds like this happens. They inadvertently design it for the top 5% of players.
Sure.
And sometimes we'll find out later there's a build or a strat and a cheese to like get through it. So we'll see. But the fact that it's gone on this long, I am shocked. I thought we were within 4 hours, 5 hours, for sure, right away, numerous people beating it. And, I didn't get world's first, but this team did. And it was like dead silent most of the day.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty nervous that it's just they went too far.
Do you care though? Do you mind that?
Yeah, sort of. So here's the thing that I've been hearing is that the reason why PC players are getting an advantage is because in the final fight,
You can
the way that the AI reacts requires a lot of really quick precision shots, and you also have to have the right build with your gear, having gear set bonuses, having your specialist maxed out, making sure you have a lot of heal effects. Because you're just going to be downed constantly,
Yeah,
which is normal for a raid. But the thing I'm concerned about is if they've tuned it specifically for PC players and the DPS capabilities of using high refresh rate, higher processing speed, higher frame rate for PC, and it makes it so that people on console like physically can't do it because the tech is working against them. That's really troublesome.
You can already see there's evidence of that. I mean,
Yeah.
this happened with Destiny as well, and it was for those reasons you just cited. Console was behind. I mean, World's First has always been going to PC. So I'm a little concerned about that. But more than anything, I'm just shocked that this game, trying to get 8 people together, that it's this hard. Now, sometimes there could be a side effect. If it's so much fun that everybody suffers, I'm actually okay with that.
That's my on the outside right now, hearing about it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to clear it tonight and have awesome gear, et cetera, whatever. I don't mind not doing it because I do feel I play the Division every day if I'm here, right? And when I do, I'm not saying it's easy, but I feel everything's conquerable easily. Where if I need to get Fran on the thing, if I need to go do it, but I haven't run into a mission in the Division. And I mean, I played challenging. I'm not saying I'm not into it. You know what I mean? I just feel like if I'm doing all the other stuff and having a great time and being challenged the level I am, but still succeeding as I feel I do every time I set off on something. If the raid is the one thing where they're like, no, motherfucker, like
You're
you
not
got to
succeeding.
work. I'm like, all right, cool. Like I can go get the easy wins anytime I want over here. I got to go get that Portillo backpack bling.
Yeah.
You see how the wiener dog? I got to
Is
get that.
it in there, really?
Oh yeah. One of the season pass missions, challenge missions.
Oh, yeah.
You drop in one of the backpack blings,
new
little
things
wiener
they
dog.
added.
I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Also, if you didn't know, both kind of funny logo, party mode logo, and then the what's good logo are all in now as clan
That's so cool.
banners. So you can
Yeah.
add
The
that to
banner
it.
looks so dope. It's
Yeah,
so cool
yeah.
to see. Thank
Yeah,
you
it's
so much,
awesome.
Ubisoft, for putting us in there.
But I think the reason why people are also concerned about the raid is not just the tech spec issue, but also this decision by Massive to come out and say we're not going to have the gear score be 515 drops. As we said we want to keep it at 500 for X, Y, and Z reasons. And that's troublesome because generally speaking, you want to have that 1 or 2 high level piece of gear on your character to help offset the crazy DPS that these raid bosses require in order to be to be even defeatable, right?
Yeah.
I'm super excited to play it. What I've heard has got me really worried, but that's okay. Again, I don't mind. Like with the state that it's at, I'm concerned that they made it way too hard, and frankly, I don't want to review it too early. I'm just worried they were looking very closely at what happened with Last Wish and Destiny, and you set the specs so high to make something so difficult because you think maybe that's this prestige event, but sometimes you go too far, and we've seen that happen, and it can be very frustrating.
How quickly do you think they'll turn it around if they did?
Well, again, I don't want to speculate. I think if it's too hard, they might even give it, though, like a full couple weeks, to see how people adapt to it. And that's where I think it could get interesting. But I literally have seen the people who I, again, respect dropping out. I'm like, ooh, boy. Because I always describe myself as a medium min-maxer. Like, my builds are like, they're okay compared to someone who's like crazy
Who's got a
it.
spreadsheet, right?
Because I almost never watch YouTube videos. I just like to play the way I like to play. Even because I know you know that about me, Greg, and you think of me as the min-maxer, but because you're more like, you just
Power
kind of
per hour, friend.
Yeah, but my impression is you play a lot by feel. Like you get the guns. You're not going to go crazy and set. You don't know exactly what your damage and all that is supposed to be.
That's never spoken to me in Destiny, DC Universe Online, and this. Yeah.
And I'm telling you that I pay some attention, but then I did because the raid's coming up. I was like, well, let me just look at like what some good builds are maybe, and I just quickly watched a few videos. I'm looking at some of the damage and health loadouts, and it's like, man, I'm so far from like how high you can go, and that is the amazing part about Division. The high tier of what you can set your builds to if you really spend like a ton of time. It's crazy. I spent 2.5 hours in menus last night trying to just clear stuff, and that's before I even got to the point of like, now I need to look through the stuff and figure out is there better options.
Yeah.
I'm not even there yet. I got to do it before we go in. Where I'm going with this is I'm a little worried that it caters to that amazing, super hardcore in terms of building. Because meaning if you have to build at that level, you will have to get advice or look at a YouTube video.
And the frustrating part about that is that it was a specific community question I got for Julian at one of the first preview events that we did. It was either late last year or earlier this year. Somebody said, hey, I felt like I spent way too much time in the original Division trying to min-max my gear score. Are you guys simplifying the gear score system? And Julian said yes. And it doesn't sound like they actually have simplified it at all.
Yeah,
and from what I've played, and I've put like 90 hours into the game so far, it's just like, it feels like the gear score is like a constant chase in a way that's forever unobtainable, because once I get one piece of a set, then it's like, well, now I have to get like 5 more pieces of that set in order to get the gear score that I want. It's and then the mod system is a whole nother bottle of wax.
And it's funny that like getting your gear up to 500 or whatever is easy now. It's the getting the thing you want,
the right piece of gear
that not only is high level but also comes with the perks you want, or you have enough money to infuse the things into it that you want, and that's where the game for me has broken my brain, and I'm frankly a lot less smarter than you all out there. I respect you so much. When I like go to the recalibration table sometimes, I'm like, oh my God, I have so many stats that I could potentially change on this, and it just takes patience.
Sure.
But anyway, some of that is to its strength, but sitting in menus, it's still one of my biggest complaints about it. I was...
Just make the stash bigger.
Because again, part of it's because I stream.
Hard.
I agree. It does need to be increased, by the way. It's too much, especially inventory for mods.
Yeah.
Mods drop all the time, and like, I don't want to have to like
sit there and like, am I ever going to use this thing?
They're very hard to go through mods. That's actually one of the hardest things to go through. But anyway, what I was going to say is that some of that is to its strength, because it's amazing what you can do if you know what you're doing. Just worried that the raid has played into that. Are we going to talk about matchmaking? Because that was
the final thing I want to touch on, that you can't matchmake for the raid, which as somebody who doesn't raid often, right, and the Division is my game.
This is not controversial.
It is, because I don't know if they had promised it for the raid specifically.
One of their things said,
they released marketing material and sort of said all our activities will be matchmade.
Oh, I did not know that.
There's a graphic
zoom
that
in
went out,
screenshot that people
Oh,
took
yikes. Why did they do that?
Well, I don't know.
Because every time I talked to Julian in previews about the raid, he said there would be no matchmaking.
And it's quite possible that information was out there from Julian, but it was not in like the core materials. And frankly, to be fair, if you can't follow everything, the game itself, everything is pretty much matchmaking. And so,
And really well done.
yeah,
I've been running-
You're talking about the public matchmaking.
Yeah, I've been working on.
It goes
I've
quite
been
well.
working on the hard missions for my platinum, and it's like that thing where I was jump in, poop. Here's a bunch of guys. Oh, they're all good.
So
All right, here we go.
So I'm gonna quickly side with maybe where you're going with, which is like I get why I would like to try it without matchmaking. Although, I mean, again, I saw a few people saying like just let people try if they're frustrated. That should be the warning of if you're sure you want to matchmake, it could be frustrating. At least you get to try. It has been very difficult though to put together an 8-person team, and I'm curious.
It
to
has
hear.
not been difficult.
No. Here's
Use
the
it Judges
thing.
Week
The
and-
real
Yeah,
reason
we did it. We had 2 slots we were worried about. We got
That's
them filled.
The
And how do
real
we do it?
reason
Clean.
why
You don't have the dedication, Kevin.
why they can't do public matchmaking for the raid is because of the way that they do damage scaling based off the size of your group. So if they did, if you went in with hour 1 with 8 people, hour 2, Joe Schmo, who is in the public matchmaking, is like, my 3-year-old's crying. I gotta go, guys.
Fucking kids.
AFKs.
Yeah.
Right? And then you've got one less. And then this other guy's like, I gotta go take a shit
Yeah,
for
you
20
have to
minutes or
have 8
whatever.
people.
Right?
Yes.
Like, and then now you have 6 players that's instanced for 8. Right? And so that's like the trouble with public
It's true. You
matchmaking
could
is
be there
people
for
just
30
dipping
minutes.
out on matches, or
Sure.
they get disconnected and then trying to sync up with your party again with who you were if you're not with your friends is like almost impossible. Like I absolutely understand why public matchmaking is just not feasible right now. Look at what happened with Destiny 2 and the Sherpa program they did. It like kind of fell on its face, So I just I don't think that public matchmaking is going to be an option.
For me, it falls back into the category, and this is just removing the promise on that marketing material that I saw too.
Yeah.
But it falls back in the category of, okay, so the raid's different. Like, you can matchmake, and I feel like they've let you can play that whole game single player if you want, right? And like, you're going to run up against challenges, but you can eventually get them over and blah, blah, blah. I feel like this is the example of, cool, this is something we specifically want you to do specific things for, and it is, we want you to join a clan. We understand you don't want to play the game that way. Okay, like, I don't know, are you on the gear grind on solo that you're not? Like, everybody belongs to a community, right? Where I feel like I've been pimping the subreddit because there's so many subreddit threads right now. I have a PC clan, or I want to raid on Xbox, and da-da-da. Like, you can get out there and find those people and do it, and I understand you might say, I don't want to do it that way, blah, blah, blah. I get that, but it falls back in that category of the people who made the game do want you to do it that way, and they've given you, I'm 100 hours in now, right? They've given me 100 hours of I don't have to do that, and if I look at that and I'm still like, nope, seems too hard, too challenging, I can go fuck off and play something else in the same
doing
world.
a stronghold on challenging difficulty with public matchmaking is an incredible challenge.
No.
So I just I feel it's absolutely unrealistic, and the people who are being the loudest about this clearly do not raid in other games.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I do agree that, well, look, for starters, I'm glad to hear that seemingly it's so complex. You really need to have a full team, but also communication. And like they've designed it that way versus, you might be surprised, but playing some of the strongholds.
It might surprise you.
But people kind of get their stuff together and know what to do after playing a while, and you can play off comms. It's impressive. But the fact that it is that much of a high challenge, I'm excited about. So I do think there's something right about it with like, look, you've got to communicate. I know that we knew with Destiny, it was like 10% or 15% of people ever got to raid. And I assume, knew that choice going in. It's going to be a small population, but you've got to come together like you said. Yeah. On the other side, though, it is... Look, well, moving past the marketing miscommunication, because that is the source of some of people's but I thought it was, they can now argue that that's why I bought it, you told me, and like, whatever. I understand that. That is frustrating if that's what you thought. But there is the side of, and I haven't seen it done before, but like, maybe we can get to a point where it's like, with enough, I always have said, like, if there's a warning and says you're opting in, this is not the recommended way to play, but just let me do it. And what if 30% of those people had an amazing experience and came together and form a clan? And because that stuff does happen. As humans, that's the amazing part about coming together as community. So like I don't want to be on the 70% of people that are so mad that like this is nuts. Like they might go in thinking that it might work or have the perception, I'll play anyway. But then they're like, that sucked. And then all the press and negativity out there. But what if the 30% it was worth it? I'll just throw that out there. What if we try?
No.
Andrea says no. Sorry.
I think
they will.
I think you're
they're
living in
going
a
to.
pipe dream world where people don't DC all the time.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Can you imagine how frustrating that would be?
That you're in the middle of the boss fight of the raid, and then this random that just match made with you just like dips out.
But
dude,
what if
I
you-
would be livid.
But what if you agreed to it? And there's that
I've
one
seen you
layer
livid with your own
that
clan,
says, "Are you sure this is going to be incredibly frustrating? You are signing up for this, yes." And then again, yes, you sure?
No,
At least give me the option.
No,
No?
you're wrong. It's a bad take.
I
disagree.
So I do disagree with trying, and I would love to see. And maybe Division's the first to say, you know what, we're gonna do a matchmaking alpha weekend or whatever, and like just try it and see what happens, and give us the numbers too, of like whoever like whatever data you have to show us that it failed or not, because that's what makes this hard too. Is it's a philosophy, it's not fact that it won't work. Your points make tons of sense, but it's not a fact. I'll throw that out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, who will DC tonight as we play the rain ourselves? Twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. We'll be hosting FM3_. Of course, you can click over if you don't want to see Fran's inventories to watch Andrea and her clan go at it on Twitch.tv/whatsgoodgames. The archives will be up there if you're somebody watching later on Monday, maybe. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Kinda Funny Gamescast. Thank you so much for joining us and hanging out with us. Remember, each and every week, 4, sometimes 3 best friends gather on this table, talk about video games and all the things they love about them. If you like that, you can head over to patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Get the show with the pre and post show. That's right, there's more for us to talk about after this. No ads, but if you got no bucks to toss our way, no big deal. You can wait for Monday, youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe, where the show will come to you and enjoy itself and be there. Tim and I are in Florida next week, so I think it's you guys doing the Gamescast? I don't know. It's Tim plans this show
I'm
normally.
hosting the Gamescast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Give Fran a hard time, you know what I mean?
Oh, I always
Like
do.
she does it
Thank you.
already.
All right. We got a post show to do, but until next time, no. It's been our pleasure to serve you.
Later, best friends.